All right. Usually takes a few seconds, but who can actually wait because the timing is anyway. Guys, are you watching the news? Do you have whiplash? Are you as fascinated as I am? I don't want to say confused. I've given up being confused about who to believe or who could be right. We now are just watching as if it's like the Truman Show, and we all know now, the veil has been lifted. We all know that this is a big show. It's a big play, and we're just watching, right? And we're eating popcorn, waiting to see what actually is going to happen. Are you with me on this? All right. I am talking about the deal or the attack that we don't know which. I'm going to tell you how this all played out or is playing out. It's in the process of playing out still. Anyway, I'm Nicole Jantzisian. I'm a reporter based in Jerusalem, and I'm coming to you live right now, Sunday night, May 24th, to talk about what has happened in the past 24 hours. So as you start to come online, drop your name in the chat, say hi, any questions, anything you want to talk about, bring it up. And I'd also love to hear your comments, what you think of all of this that is happening. So anyway, let's start with yesterday. Saturday was the end of the Jewish holiday of Shavuot, right before the Christian holiday of Pentecost was about to begin. So we're in the Old City, and we're talking to people in the Old City, and everybody is getting some kind of the same news source where they're thinking the attack, because by the way, we were all just kind of sitting here expecting the attack at any second for the past, was it 40 days? How many days since the ceasefire? About 40 days, something like that. April 7th or something. 7th, 8th, or 9th was the ceasefire. And every day since then, everybody is literally expecting a renewal of the fighting. So everybody is saying yesterday, it's like there's a military escalation. There was even a NOTAM over Iran, which is like this no-fly policy. And that's the kind of thing that happens like right before an attack is about to happen. So we're talking imminent, and everybody's saying the attack is going to take place tomorrow. So that this was the news. This was the word on the street, and more than one person said it, which means they're all getting it from some source. So I said, okay, this could be credible. Then we drive home, flip on the Israeli news, and breaking news. They are so close to signing a deal. President Trump and Iran, they are on the cusp. It's all been agreed upon. Now, up until that moment, everybody had been saying that there was no agreement, that Strait of Hormuz, they couldn't even agree on whether or not to open or how to open the Strait of Hormuz. You had Iran insisting that now it's theirs and they're going to charge tolls. They even thought, well, let's charge tolls also on the fiber optics running underneath. Of course, they're never going to give up the uranium, the hard-fought uranium that they've had. All of these things that were the sticking points for the U.S. and Iran and the U.S. were on opposite ends of the spectrum on several of these deals, or several of these points for an agreement. And suddenly, and I stared at the TV. I was like, I cannot be reading that right. Like there was not even a hint that anybody was close to an agreement. And yet suddenly it was only about that. And so it was just a whirlwind of news all Saturday night, for us, probably for you guys, Saturday afternoon, all the way through the evening. We woke up in the morning thinking that this is going to be like the ink is going to be dry on the agreement. And yet, more than 24 hours later, there is still no agreement for this extension of the ceasefire between the U.S. and Iran, an extension of the ceasefire that would then be leading toward a negotiation of an end to the war. So let's get into some of the details of why it's not happening or what might actually be happening, and a lot of the comments behind the scenes that you don't necessarily hear in one single news story, but like from all over, all different sources. But first, I just want to say hi to Carol and John. Thank you for tuning in. I know you guys are actually hoping to fly tomorrow, which would mean that hopefully there shouldn't be a war. What is that? She's inside. So what is she doing?
She's trying to get inside the room where Daniel is.
Oh, got it. We have a cat issue. And hi to Marilyn. I'm so glad you're here live today. So anyway, so let's try to figure out whether or not planes will be flying in and out of the Middle East in the coming days. We literally are on the cusp of knowing nothing. Okay. So so all of this is playing out, right? So the deal, I'm going to show you President Trump was like, we're making a deal. We're making a deal. It's so close. It's going to be a good deal. And then suddenly today, after all the talk about the deal, I am going to show you what he put on social media. Could you explain this? Could you explain this picture to me where he says, adios? I think here you've got an Iranian flag. It's like an Iranian oil tanker with even like people flying off of it, a missile coming in, blowing it up. And this is just hours after saying that we are close to an agreement. Then he says, adios, bye Iran, bye to the Iranian Navy, which, by the way, according to President Trump, is destroyed. Remember that the Navy has been destroyed. So what is left to attack if the entire Navy has been destroyed? So why are we subject to this extreme back and forth? From one side, he's saying, that we're so close to a deal and I prefer diplomacy and it's going to be great and it's going to be a good deal, to like, we're going to blow you out of the water. All right. So that I cannot explain. But now we are going to look at some other things we've got here, because this is so there. All right, let's talk about the deal. So it's only portions of it have been leaked. So first of all, there's no deal. Sorry, the proposed agreement. This is a proposed agreement to extend the ceasefire, and we're just dealing with leaks. So you've got one side, America, is saying that, of course, the Strait of Hormuz is going to be open. Iran's going to back off the blockade. We're going to back off the blockade, and it's going to be open and free. Iran is saying, this is ours, and we operate according to the Ayatollah's wishes. And he says that the Strait of Hormuz is no place for foreigners. It is now strictly under Iranian control, which means they can do whatever they want, which is even to levy tolls if they so choose. So then the other question, there's another question. What about Iran's uranium? They have enriched uranium somewhere, they call it dust or whatever. So what happens with that? Now, of course, they're saying that Trump is saying, and the US has said, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. So they have said that they must give up the nuclear weapons. or the enriched uranium. And Iran says, of course, we are not going to give up the enriched uranium. Like that's in anybody's dreams. So that is not, so they say that's not happening. So again, like two major points, Strait of Hormuz and the uranium, and it sounds like they're on different ends of the spectrum on that one. Now, another point, which I haven't heard much about, is whether or not, well, Israel, the one part of it is that Israel must not attack on its own. So the deal includes reigning in Israel, but the question is whether it also includes ending the war between Israel and Hezbollah, which is ongoing in southern Lebanon, which, though under a ceasefire, wow, it's like it's a ceasefire. It's hard to even say that because it's not a ceasefire at all. There is fighting. There was another Israeli soldier killed. I think that brings the total to about 10, maybe a little bit more than that. And also in Lebanon, just constant attacks by the Israeli military, several killed. So, they just today, they also found more weapons, more tunnels. So just crazy stuff like that. Anyway, so then what was interesting was that all of this was going crazy in the media yesterday, especially here in Israel. But then there was no comment from the Israeli government officially, no comment from Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. But today he released a few statements and also his own meme. So I'm going to start out with the meme that he put out. Just to go to show, you can see right here, he's got the himself with President Trump and the Israeli flag and the American flag. I love the choice of ties, tie colors for this obviously AI generated image. And there he says, Iran will never have a nuclear weapon. So there was his main statement right there to what he believes is that if it has to do with nuclear weapons, and if they don't agree, then he is not going to. He's not. They're not going to go along with it. I want to find his statement. So here's his statements. Let's see, make sure that you guys can see this. Okay, so finally he released this, and this was just a few hours ago that he released this. So about 24 hours after all this news was breaking. He said, I spoke last night with President Donald Trump about the memorandum of understanding to reopen the Straits of Hormuz and the upcoming negotiations toward a final agreement on Iran's nuclear program. I express my deep appreciation to President Trump for his unwavering commitment to Israel's security, including during Operation Roaring Lion and Epic Fury, when American and Israeli forces fought shoulder to shoulder against the Iranian threat. President Trump and I agree that any final agreement with Iran must eliminate the nuclear danger. That means dismantling Iran's nuclear enrichment sites and removing its enriched nuclear material from its territory. President Trump also reaffirmed Israel's right to defend itself against threats on every front, including Lebanon. The partnership between our two countries has been proven on the battlefield and has never been stronger. My policy, like President Trump's, remains unchanged. Iran will not have nuclear weapons. So you can see here, he doesn't necessarily directly say whether or not he supports what's happening, except that the nuclear danger must be eliminated. Now, interestingly enough, and I see some of you are both. Cheryl has popped in. Hi, Cheryl from Tennessee, and both Cheryl and Marilyn. No, Cheryl says it would appear that, oh, wait, I can show comments. Oh, I forget about this, guys. I forget about this. Okay. It would appear that you cannot believe anyone. I am so agreeing with that. At this point, I don't really know what to believe or who or when or how. And Marilyn says, is he trying to play their game? Is Trump trying to play the Iranians' game? And that is, anyone's guess right now. Is he using a strategy, or is he just merely is he caving to pressure? So I think this is part of the question: is he responding to pressure from the US, from citizens who are, had enough with the prices, with the gas prices, or want the Strait of Hormuz back open. They want the military back home and not in the Middle East. Or has he suddenly become a dove, and he believes that diplomacy with a regime where he's called them idiots, and that, like, all of these names, and where they're like, why suddenly does he think he can make a deal with them? Or there's or is he just playing a game? Because as you can see from this meme that he put out, where he said adios and he put a tanker, then you would think, all right, let's take a look at it again. Let's take a look at this. Why would you put that out after? Why would you put that out after? So now I am back to saying we have no idea. We have no idea what's going on or what is going to happen. So let me see. I've got a lot more for you. Now let's hear a little bit of Marco Rubio's speech, U.S. Secretary of State. He is in India. Now, part of all of the rumors that were going into war, that there would be a war, had to do with the fact that JD Vance was like called back to Washington. President Trump didn't attend his son's wedding. And just like all these things, that these little clues that made people think, oh, an attack is imminent. And yet Marco Rubio is in India. So let's see a little bit about what he had to say about the deal.
So we've made some progress over the last 48 hours working with our partners in the Gulf region on an outline that could ultimately, if it succeeds, leave us not just with a completely open straits, and I mean open straits without tolls, and with addressing some of the key things that underpin what has been Iran's nuclear weapons ambitions in the past. So we think we've made some progress on the outline of something that, if it works, could give us that outcome. Obviously, that will require full Iranian acceptance and then compliance, and it will require some future work on negotiating the details. When you're talking about a nuclear program, as an example, these are highly technical matters, and ones that would probably need to be addressed over some period of time. On the issue of benefits that they can get from it, and whatever domestic criticisms there may be, I don't think anyone's been tougher on the Iranian nuclear ambition than President Trump. Understand, okay? Again, I don't know what some of these individual comments have been from different sectors of our politics in the United States, but I will say this: there is no one who has been stronger on this issue than President Trump. Okay? Multiple political leaders, multiple presidents of the United States have all said the same thing: Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. The only one who's tried to do anything and has actually done anything about it in a real way has been President Trump. So his commitment to that principle that they'll never have a nuclear weapon shouldn't be questioned by anybody. And the idea that somehow this president, given everything he's already proven he's willing to do, is going to somehow agree to a deal that ultimately winds up putting Iran in a stronger position when it comes to nuclear ambitions is absurd. That's just not going to happen. But our preference is to address this through a diplomatic means. And that's what we're endeavoring to do here. I think we've made some progress. I'm always cautious when I say that, because you can agree to things on paper, they actually have to be implemented. You can agree to things in writing, and then you actually have to go out and do it. And but I do think perhaps there is the possibility that over the next few hours, the world will get some
good news. Okay. All right. On that note, I want to remind you that the last time the attack happened, when the war really kicked off on February 28th, that was amidst a talk and seeking a diplomatic solution. So yet again, if you want to err on the side of thinking, if you want to say, okay, this is a game, this must be a game, then that definitely lends to the game. I'm going to read to you that this is a quote from an Iranian official. I don't know if it was anonymous, but I don't have the name. For the enemy's goal is our destruction and not for negotiations and solving the problem. We have not forgotten that the previous two wars also began in the midst of the negotiating table, and it is not impossible that this time, at the height of seemingly positive news about the talks, there will be another surprise and the enemy's attacks will begin all at once. So, this is another point in the column of perhaps this is a game. Perhaps it is not the negotiation that it is appearing to be, that it was in the news. So we right now are in a holding pattern. Now, we heard yesterday it was imminent. We had the sense that it was about to be signed. Now it's not even going to be signed today. So it is being put off yet again. And then President Trump said today, after all the positive things he said yesterday, he said, I'm in no rush to sign a deal. I'm in no rush. So this whirlwind of rush where everybody went to bed thinking the ink was going to be dry on a deal today, it's not even going to be signed today and maybe not tomorrow. Now, and I just want to acknowledge there's a few more people who just jumped on now. Hello to Mike. I haven't seen you in a while. And Walter, good to see you. Thank you guys for joining. Okay, so I've got some other stuff I want to. Here's a quote from another senior Iranian official who said, if the U.S. does not show flexibility, the negotiations will collapse. The Americans, although they have retreated from their initial approaches and accepted many of Iran's positions, still have three controversial issues without which the negotiations will not take place. Of course, the nuclear issue, there is the Strait of Hormuz, but also we talked about, I didn't talk about the other thing, which is there's blocked funds, something like $25 billion that have been blocked that will be released and transferred to Iran. Should this is apparently part of the deal. Okay. So again, everything is like things are being leaked and we have no way of verifying what's actually part of the deal. Okay. So there are also in the US, you have had Lindsey Graham has been saying a lot in favor of like he was very hawkish in this entire war. So he is also going hawkish on this, but he has not yet gone against President Trump. But there's another senator, Scott Weiner, I don't know his name, where he said that Trump started a catastrophic war without a strategy and lost it. And now he has surrendered while Iran emerges stronger than before, and its regional agents, the proxies, will also become stronger. Trump is an incompetent and a catastrophe and is causing deep damage to Americans at home and to interests abroad. Okay, so by the way, Iran is agreeing with this point, saying that Trump has basically capitulated to all of our demands. So now I also want to take you back to Trump's biggest criticisms have been of who? President Obama. President Obama's nuclear deals. He said it was the worst ever. Oh, wow. Look, there's also, I just jumped back on the page and we've got Roman and Barbara are here. Walter, good to have you here. Jennifer Mallon, I love it. It's as though President Trump is taking them back to the Stone Age, or are they taking Trump back to the Stone Age? I mean, compared to the fact that they're saying that he is basically capitulating to them. I want to find the Trump quote on Obama. I thought I had it in one of my, what do you call it? Listen, he said this. Oh, here you go. Oh, I found it. Thank God. Okay, so I can actually read it as opposed to just paraphrasing it. Let's do that. Oh, awesome. Kim is here as well. Thank you for tuning in, guys. All right, so now let's check out what did Trump say. He's been the biggest critic of Obama and his deal, and of the deal that Obama made. He pulled the U.S. out of, what was it, the JCPOA, or wow, I'm like out of habit with that, the initials of that deal right now. But he pulled the U.S. out of that, and listen to what he says now, because everybody's saying you're no better than Obama. And he said, if I make a deal with Iran, it will be a good and proper one, not like the one made by Obama, which gave Iran massive amounts of cash and a clear and open path to a nuclear weapon. Our deal is the exact opposite, but nobody has seen it or knows what it is. It isn't even fully negotiated yet. So don't listen to the losers who are critical about something that they know nothing about. Unlike those before me who might have solved this problem many years ago, I don't make bad deals. So there you go. There is President Trump talking about the Obama deal, exonerating himself. I have got to show you another thing that I ran into yesterday about another comment of somebody who apparently doesn't know what he's talking about. But let's see if I can find what Mike Pompeo.
Oh.
Mike Pompeo, he said he had a comment about how bad the deal was, and let me see. Wow, he puts a lot on Twitter. Oh, here it is. Okay. Okay. Let me put this up for you guys to see it as well. The deal being floated with Iran seems straight out of the Wendy Sherman, Rob Malley, Ben Rhodes playbook. Pay the IRGC to build a WMD program and terrorize the world. Not remotely America first. It's straightforward. Open the dam straight. Deny Iran access to money. Take out enough Iranian capacity so it cannot threaten our allies in the region. Overdue. Let's go. So this is what he says. Now, there was a White House spokesperson who put out a statement that said he doesn't know what the F he's talking about. He hasn't seen the deal. He doesn't have the details. So again, all of this stuff is coming out. We're getting smatterings of information here and there from different sources, and yet we have no idea what it really says and how and why the powers that be and the negotiators are actually maneuvering on this. So Pakistan is still the negotiator. Here's some interesting things about Pakistan. First of all, Pakistan is the only Muslim nation that currently possesses, to our knowledge, a nuclear weapon. And how they did it was also through, like behind the scenes and behind everybody's back. So Iran and Pakistan are allies, and Iran is kind of looking to Pakistan as a way to like looking up to them, like, if you did it, we can do it. So now you've got Pakistan working with Iran, and they were there all day yesterday and the day before that with the negotiating team, like talking to them. But there could be other deals going on. They have good relations. They share a 900-kilometer border. They have trade deals, and of course, they have the other thing in common, which is they both want a nuclear weapon. One has it. One wants to get one. So anyway, So that is also really interesting that they are the ones that are negotiating this deal. And I just want to say hi to Clint. Thank you so much for tuning in from Florida. What another thing I heard about this is that now that they're negotiating this deal, do you know that they want it to be called the Islamabad Agreement? Like they want their name in it. Like they were so excited about it being signed yesterday that they were already, apparently this is again, who knows how well you can source this, but they want their name on a deal. So anyway, so that's what's going on with, let's see who's walking in. It's Lucas. Lucas is back. Okay. So let's go back to some of what I've been reading about from the Iranian sources. Okay. Okay. So an Arab source in the Arabic news, somebody said that the Iranians managed to separate the nuclear issue from the path of war and its consequences and managed to impose this issue on their terms. So if this deal goes through as it is, again, another point for the other column, which is that, Trump totally capitulated. So here's another comment. From a commander in the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. The strong Iran strategy has no place for foreigners. Simply put, the U.S. is being kicked out of the Gulf. The plans and strategies of the commander of the revolution for managing the Persian Gulf and the Strait of Hormuz ensure the future of the region. Simply put, the Strait of Hormuz will not return to the way it was before the war. So that's under this agreement if it goes forward. Apparently, the Iranians are demanding clarification. The phrase extending the ceasefire apparently does not appear in the memorandum of understanding. The phrase used in the memorandum in the MOU is a declaration of the end of war on all fronts, including Lebanon. This is according to one source. So again, none of this confirmed, leaks from different sides. I want to remind you that when we were talking about the negotiations before the war broke out, that these were some of the issues that it was different news coming out. And then also when they were negotiating, when Pakistan was running, remember when they were doing the final details on the ceasefire, you had stuff coming out, statements from Iran and statements from the US. Apparently, even at some point, somebody accused Pakistan of giving them two different agreements based on what they wanted to hear. So again, it's all at this point impossible to tell what is actually happening and what is actually going to be the end result of this. Iranian president. What is? I don't know if this is the president. This is I've got a translation, so I can't verify for sure because the president is Pezeshkian. I'm just wondering if that was transliterated wrong. Okay. Our negotiating team will not make any concession when it comes to the honor and dignity of our country. Israel is undermining the security of the region by trying to carry out the Great Israeli Plan and is planning conspiracies to drag the region into war. When it comes to the honor and dignity of our country, that means we will not give up the achievements that we have already accomplished with blood and sweat, which is partly the weapons. So they are doubling down on their weapons. There was also another threat that came out that one of them said that if we have to show them, then we will have to use other means because clearly the missiles were not enough to get the message across. So was that a big hint that they would actually use a nuclear weapon? Now, speaking of the missiles, it's become clear that the initial um, estimations that that of what was destroyed, of the damage done to their weapons, have probably been overblown by Israel and the US. And probably they have a lot more weapons, missiles than originally estimated. Now, remember also, just this time last week, we were talking about the fact that they were going head to head with the UAE, threatening the UAE. Right before this broadcast, I went and checked if Kuwait, the UAE, these other countries, if they're saying anything. And so far, I don't see much. I have one article here. This was, but yes, 2 days ago, where an advisor to the prince in the UAE said there's a 50-50 chance of a US-Iran peace agreement. So anyway, that is not necessarily a statement on what's happening now, but he did say that any political settlement must address the root cause of instability in the region. So we will see what the UAE has to say about that. Now, some US politicians are talking about it was Lindsey Graham actually, that if there's going to be a deal, that this should be an opportunity to get Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Pakistan into the Abraham Accords. So use that as you may, he was saying. Okay, now, more important, what are the Iranian dissidents saying? We hear what the Iranian government is saying. We hear what the US is saying, and we're confused. And yet, what are the dissidents saying? So I think that is very important. So let's check out a few things. I'm going to go to Khosrow Isfahani, who is somebody I interviewed on this channel a couple of months ago, and he was absolutely fascinating, has a lot of information. Now, this is not a direct comment on the deal, but you can see here, I mean, when was this? This was just yesterday. School students in Iran are starting to protest again. They're declaring death to incompetent officials. Security forces have tased at least one teenage student while sending text message threats to others. So let's take a look.
حمله با شوکر به نوجوان، حمله به شوکر به نوجوان معترض. کوش حمله به شوکر به نوجوان معترض. حمله با شوکر به نوجوان، حمله به شوکر به نوجوان معترض.
All right, so that is one thing that's going on. You see that the Iranian people are not happy about what's happening right now. Here's another one. Let's take a look at this. The blackout of internet in Iran is now on its 86th day. So we are not getting any news from inside Iran. And that is, that is really, like, for these people, they are being digitally choked and unable to get information in and unable to get information out. So, all right, hold on. We've got Pat Pilla. Pat, good to see you. Don't listen to the US. We're a confused state and don't know anything until after it happens. This is the new US. Well, it'd be interesting to also see, I am pretty sure we are going to, I want to see, I'm going to see, oh, I don't have it up. Let me go to Miriam. The statements that are coming out are representing two sides, but honestly, I also wonder if there is on if there is purposeful misinformation. So like I understand what you're saying about it's a confused state, but I also think at the moment we are getting intentionally confused messaging, maybe not just for us, but also for whatever is happening in this negotiation of a deal. All right, so I can't find in the meantime some more. I wasn't able to find on time some of the comments from Iranians, but oh, here's one. I think I'll go to Mariam Ishani. She is a reporter, an Iranian exile. I don't know where she lives, and she gets very interesting information. So let's read a little bit of her post that she published today. She normally does a video every day, but this is all I have to say about the MOU today. We can talk about the details on Monday. Today is for Iranians and for those who have stood with them. So let's read what she said. I think a lot of people who care about Iran and Iranians woke up this morning with lead sitting on their chests. I know I did. Not because we wanted the conflict to continue, but because the extraordinary sacrifices Iranians have made across 47 years and the staggering weight they absorbed during one of the most intense air campaigns in recent memory did not produce a single word in this MOU, not one line. Not one word of it acknowledged the people who made the negotiation possible by refusing for decades to stop demanding to be free. That gap will not be forgotten. There is a particular kind of violence in being used. Your suffering lifted up, made legible, made useful, and then set down again once it has served its purpose. Your resistance framed as evidence for someone else's argument. Your decades of protest converted into justification for an assault you did not ask for on terms you were never consulted about, in a settlement where your fallen do not appear. Iranians were not partners in this, they were context. And when the context was no longer needed, it was tossed away. I have been a journalist long enough to know that in this way, Iranians are not exceptional. That knowledge does not make it easy. That knowledge does not make it easier to bear. There is a kind of grief that needs one day before it can become work. Today, I'm going to let myself visit with anger. I'll eat something that makes me happy, touch grass, scream into a void, type things I'll never send. I'll look at the wounds, marvel at how raw they are before I start trying to repair them. Grief that gets converted too quickly into action has a way of hollowing the work out from the inside. The rage needs one day to be itself before it becomes useful. Then on Monday, I'll sit at my desk. Even if I just sit there for a day, I'll sit there. Maybe Tuesday, I'll have an idea. Listen, I recommend that you follow her if you're on Instagram, Mariam Ishani. She has a lot of really good information. She's very interesting. And very deep. She does some deep work and some good issues. So anyway, all right. Well, I think that's all of my notes. I'll just throw out another thing. Apparently in Turkey, Erdogan is arresting opposition leaders. So I guess he will just soar to victory in the next election. I just saw that, but I did not do a deep dive on it. So I don't have many details on that. And also the president of Israel today, Isaac Herzog, criticized the settlers for going on rampages. And I'm going to have to do a separate story on that because that is an entire involved thing. He also then got insulted by Itamar Ben-Gvir, the minister, who said he doesn't deserve to be the president since he insulted his own citizens. Ben-Gvir is the one who started what probably would have gone away quietly, the flotilla that was taken over by Israel. It was on its way to Gaza with humanitarian aid, not really humanitarian aid. And they commandeered the vessel and then they deported. But before deporting the participants of the flotilla, Itamar Ben-Gvir went there to taunt them. And those were the videos that went viral around the world. So anyway, yeah, crazy things happening in Israel. There's also issues now going on with whether or not, remember when the big news was that the government was going to dissolve itself? Hasn't moved forward on that yet. And last but not least, they are also talking about whether or not to pass the exemption law for the ultra orthodox to not have to serve in the military. So, but all of the local stuff is now on hold because we're trying to figure out whether or not there's a war or an agreement that will happen tomorrow. Mike says, I like Ben Gvir. He got people in Temple Mountain prayed. Maybe not the kind of prayers you would like, though. Just be careful about that. There were also 13 people arrested for trying to perform a sacrifice on the Temple Mount. 13 Jews arrested trying to perform a I don't know. Again, I didn't read the details of this story, which I would love to, because it's actually a crazy story. And a couple of years ago, they tried, I think every year they do try to get a goat up on the Temple Mount to sacrifice it. So sure, let's start World War III. Yeah, it's election time in Turkey again, apparently. Also in Armenia, coming up June 7th. So a lot of interesting things, a lot of interesting changes in this region. But all right, well, that's all I got today. Thank you so much for joining. Check out, especially if you are in Jerusalem or if you're in the area, check out, stay tuned on Facebook and Instagram, because we've got some events coming up. Tony, you want to give us a preview?
Yes. Well, first of all, are your parents on? Well, I'm not going to show my face the way I am right now.
Oh, okay. I don't know if they were here, but yes.
All right.
Yeah.
So, Armenian events, which is Armenian food, Armenian wine, June 13th at Newgate at a restaurant called Rewind Jerusalem that serves wonderful, great Armenian food. We're going to do an event. I said June 13th. We're going to do it at 4:00. We're trying to get about 20 people to come. It's going to have music. It's going to have food. It's going to have Armenian wine. Now, when I say Armenian wine, I don't mean local Armenians making wine in the land. I'm talking about wines that have come from Armenia to Israel with grapes that nobody's heard of, and it's going to be a blast.
That is awesome.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. So if you guys are around, I think most of you who at least were in the chat are not here and probably not going to be here within the next month. Oh, except Carol just said, sign us up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're signing
All
up.
right. So we got two. All right. So, yeah. So anyway, there are going to be more events like this. You can see the advertisement Tony just put up on Facebook right now. But there are going to be more events like this, because why not? We need to get this show on the road,
Right.
because, we were talking about like tourists. I mean, I hope you guys who are tourists do get to come back soon, but also, just to give the local people a chance to really show what they have here, like the food, the wine, the culture. So we really want to give a spotlight and a platform to the locals who have amazing businesses and amazing talent, and just to really keep the culture and the history alive and ongoing here in Jerusalem. So anyway, this is one.
Right. And two, I don't know if people follow me on Facebook or whatever, or Instagram, but I'm also doing a lot of things with my mother's store, where I'm putting a lot of the products that I have in the shop out. And so, yes.
Right. So I will just show that. And here is on Tony's page some of what's going on in the shop.
So as promised, I did say that once we have the hand-painted ceramics on display, I will take a video. So here's a bunch of them on display. This is handmade. Look at the beauty of these pieces. Look at that bowl. Nice lemons. And then we've got this display here. This is all these nice hand-painted Armenian ceramics. Look at this is a nice like Passover plate. These are Easter. Actually, if you want to have or want to gift something for someone for Easter, we've got these beautiful different pieces. You've got all this here. So these we haven't put up yet. So we're looking for a spot in the shop to put them up. And on top of that, I'm going to show you the volunteer of the week.
That's the best part.
Right here.
Can you show me this?
Daniel, say hi.
Hey.
Daniel is the volunteer of the week at the shop. Here he is. He's helping my mother
Can you?
put the stuff.
They're the same.
Look at that.
Now.
He's putting things on shelf, and my mother's explaining everything to him.
That's awesome. Okay, so guys, there you go. You could follow Tony, and if you could probably find him from also, like, if you're following me on Facebook, then go to
Yes, Facebook.
Facebook. I'm sure somebody made it up. Okay, so you can find him through me or whatever. I'll share his stuff, and you can follow him as well. But okay, thank you, and thank you, Kim. Kim says these are an amazing. This is an amazing experience. Book them. Awesome. Thank you very much. Yeah. So, and we'll book you as well, Kim, in October. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining. It was great chatting, and I'm so glad for your interaction. And we'll be back soon because there might be a deal. Or there might not be. Maybe there will, maybe there won't. Who knows? Anyway, check back. We'll figure it out someday. All right, ciao for now. Have a good day or good night wherever you are.